OnePlus is doing something strange this year. This is its brand new flagship phone, the OnePlus 10 Pro, and it's already launched, but only in one country, China, and you cannot buy it anywhere else. Chances are this very same phone will arrive everywhere, but only in March or even April, and we have it right now. So let's find out what's new and can this special device beat the iPhones and Galaxies out there. So first things first, the design. It definitely grabs the attention with an oversized camera system that definitely took some inspiration from Samsung's Galaxy S21 series. And it also kind of looks like a stovetop. But anyway, we like that the OnePlus 10 Pro is also not quite as wide as other big phones, so you can actually operate it with one hand a bit easier. Of course, you can't reach the top, it's still a big phone, but it's narrower. And it's also not too heavy, especially compared to your Pro Max iPhones and Ultra Galaxies. Put simply, it's a tall and narrow slab that is still big, but within reason. By the way, we have the green version with a matte finish that looks very nice. It's a thin phone, comfortable in the pocket. You also have a black color, and that's it for the color versions. And the rest is your typical 2022 flagship situation, which means no headphone jack, no micro SD card slot, and Gorilla Glass Victus on both the front and the back, an aluminum frame, a single USB-C port at the bottom, and then what's not so typical is the three-way OnePlus alert slider, so you can quickly switch between silent, vibrate, and ring modes, and we love having this tiny little feature. The great thing about OnePlus is that it still includes a ton of accessories in the box, and you also get a big box. You get the zippy 80-watt fast charger, the signature OnePlus Red cable, you get a free silicone case, a very useful pre-applied screen protector on the phone, SIM tool, a selection of OnePlus stickers, and the usual user manuals. That's a lot. Now, a quick word about the screen, because that's what you'd be looking most of the time. It's a 6.7-inch OLED screen with tiny bezels, and it curves slightly at the sides. Colors on it look great. We measured color accuracy, and it was excellent across the board. Plus, it's plenty bright, going up to 1300 nits of brightness. And the new technology here with the screen is called second generation LTPO, but in simple terms this means that it allows the refresh rate to automatically modulate all the way down from 1 Hz and up to 120 Hz for buttery smooth scrolling. And that's excellent, but more on the performance later. By the way, on the screen side, it's a bit strange that while the max resolution here is 1440p, the phone defaults to 1080p, which is a lower resolution. Of course, that's an easy fix in the settings, but keep that in mind. And in terms of biometrics, the 10 Pro features an optical fingerprint scanner under the screen. It's accurate and nearly instantaneous, one of the fastest we have ever used. And it's also now positioned a bit higher, which feels like a more natural position. The previous 9 Pro had it a bit too low, so that's good. And the front camera also serves double duty for face recognition as well, and that also works super fast. So speaking of fast, the performance. This, in our opinion, is the #1 reason to get this phone. It's just screaming fast. The processor inside is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, the most current and the most powerful you can get on an Android phone. And we were extremely curious about this new chip. The OnePlus is the first phone we get to test with it, but interestingly, we were a bit shocked to get very low benchmark scores in the very beginning. Now, turns out this has to do with the new Color OS software that runs on this phone and that prioritizes battery life and aggressively kills apps and throttles the phone. Now, the international version will probably ship with a slightly different software, so keep that in mind. But this one here, it actually defaults to lower chip speeds, and you need to dig deep in the settings to try and fix that. We had to go into settings, battery advanced settings, and only there we found the high performance mode, which enabling it unleashes the full power of the chip and you see what it's really capable of. So what's strange is that once you reboot the phone, it will return back to that default throttled mode, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, take a look at the benchmark scores. We ran them in the high performance mode and we're seeing a neat improvement in CPU speeds. We, however, ought to say that benchmarks don't really do the OnePlus justice. It is the software that makes it feel incredibly fast. Animations are just super smooth. You have a brilliant gesture navigation, again very nicely optimized. Everything feels refined to the T. And in our opinion, this is as fast as Android gets at the current moment. Good job, OnePlus. By the way, quick word about the haptics here or the vibration feedback. absolutely stellar. You get a new linear vibration motor and gives out super precise feedback while typing, and just the right amount of feedback for notifications and calls. We love it. Now in GPU benchmarks and for gaming, we were worried we would see the phone overheat, and it did indeed get quite warm, but so far we haven't seen really bad overheating issues. In the 20-minute Wildlife Extreme gaming stress test, the phone throttled more noticeably only after 10 minutes, which is okay. Okay, but what about the camera? You get this giant camera system, you get the Hasselblad logo printed out. This camera suggests serious business. First, let us say that we have an in-depth camera comparison between the OnePlus, the iPhone 13 Pro Max and the Pixel 6 Pro in a separate video. Make sure to check it out. But here, listen to the quick takeaway. You get 3 cameras, a wide, an ultra-wide and a 3.3 times zoom telephoto lens. And then you also get a giant dual-tone LED flash with the letters P2D50T, which just looks like random letters that OnePlus forgot to remove, but it actually stands for something. P goes for phone, 2D goes for second generation Hasselblad collaboration, and the 50T stands for 50 megapixel and the T is for triple camera. Super weird, whatever. Main camera here has a wider than usual 23mm lens, and this works great for landscape shots, and the sensor size is even bigger than that on the iPhone 13 Pro Max, which is good news, not quite as big as that on the Pixel 6 Pro or Galaxy S21 Ultra. What's particularly interesting for us is that the ultra-wide sensor that was incredible on the previous generation OnePlus 9 Pro has been replaced, but with a much smaller one. And this one focuses on a super wide 150-degree perspective. Now again, interestingly, there is a caveat to that as well. To use the full 150-degree view, you have to go into a special mode in the camera app, and you get a ton of distortion around the edges. And the default photo mode uses a cropped in mode that is actually not really all that super wide. So anyway, ultra-wide quality, just okay, probably not quite as impressive as the previous OnePlus 9 Pro. But what about the main camera? So we shot a bunch of photos with the main camera during the day, and they look good, but not quite great. So the thing is that the phone aggressively and consistently lifts up the shadows in photos, and pictures from it often look bright to the point of being overexposed. And colors are also often a bit on the bleak side, so photos definitely lack a bit of pop that you have from other phones. You also get a 3.3 times zoom lens, and the zoom lens on the OnePlus is also nothing to write home about. It's okay, it gives you better detail while zooming in. And you can see that once zoomed in, the camera has pretty much a problem with blowing up the highlights. For example, the picture of the kitty fur is blown out on the OnePlus, and colors are not quite as vivid as we'd like. And if you like photographing people with portrait mode, you get a wide and a close-up view. We appreciate having this choice, but again, the quality is average. Just take a look at my face here. First, it's a weird pink tonality with almost no detail, and second, half my face looks blurred, which is of course not ideal. So overall, this is not completely bashing the camera on the 10 Pro. It does a decent, okay job. In many cases, you can get great shots with it, and we're sure that if you start working with the Pro mode and start capturing raw files, you can get excellent quality. But just using the default settings, we expect a bit more out of a premium flagship phone, especially one making bold camera claims, $150 million partnership with iconic brand Hasselblad. We expect just a bit more. So next up, the battery life on this thing is one big improvement, and that's great. So last year's OnePlus 9 Pro featured a 4500 mAh battery, which was an okay size. But this year we get a meaningful upgrade to a much bigger 5000 mAh battery on the OnePlus 10 Pro. And all of that without gaining much in weight. Good job. So the 10 Pro actually did very well on our independent battery tests. It was able to stream YouTube videos non-stop for nearly 11 hours, beating even the iPhone 13 Pro Max. And it also did really good with our 3D gaming test, mustering 10 hours and 14 minutes on it, one of the best scores out there. It did however score a bit below the average on our lightest web browsing test, and that's something to also keep in mind. In real life we can say it's a solid one-day performer, but we felt that it drained faster than say an iPhone 13 Pro Max, which often gets us 2 days between charges, so that's our real life impressions. And speaking of charging, you get a massive 80-watt charger included in the box for free, And here, interestingly, all OnePlus branding on the charger is kind of gone, and you can see the Super VOOC, which is the term for fast charging that Oppo uses, and the charger also uses a standard USB port, which is a regression from last year's model when we had a USB Type-C charger. But if you can overlook that one small detail, it's a fabulous charging experience. We got 0 to 50% charge in just about 11 minutes. Incredible. And a full top-up from 0 to 100% took exactly 30 minutes. That's nothing. You no longer need to worry about charging the phone overnight, just a quick top-up during the day is all you need. You also have support for 50-watt fast wireless charging, which again are super impressive speeds. You need to buy a OnePlus charger for that, definitely worth it if you want to use that. So this is the OnePlus 10 Pro in a nutshell. At the end of the day, it is a step forward, but we have to admit that we expected a bit more, especially in the camera department. We don't think it's worth going to the hassle and buying it from China like we did, but keep an eye out for it and for the official launch, which is coming probably in March or April, at least that's what the rumors say. This phone absolutely screams in terms of speed and performance power, and if you value that and you also want a device that is not quite as big and heavy as others, has super fast charging, the 10 Pro has got you covered. Anyway, this was it for this review. Hit that like button if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what you think about the OnePlus 10 Pro and where OnePlus is going in general. So my name is Vic.